Hello everyone, JRR here, and we're going over a Facebook roleplay story. And this one is Vegeta, Principal fucking Saiyans, against the one, the only, the great one, the jabroni smashing, pie eating Rock. I go over the whole thing, but that just, I could literally rant for hours on that. Now, I've brought it up before that I roleplayed as The Rock. 1 second. I roleplayed as The Rock. It was just for story purposes, but it was The Rock in all senses of the word. Now, I wasn't roleplaying Dwayne Johnson. I was roleplaying the WWE entity known as The Rock. So, yeah, The Rock. The great one. The Brahma Bull. Now, here's the problem with that. The Rock is very confrontational. He's a smart ass. And he's apparently a bit egotistical. Now, you put that, and you run that with Vegeta. Pretty much the Rock of Dragon Ball Z. He's always the one that seems to say the weirdest but the most appropriate thing. He's very egotistical, runs his mouth a lot, and most of the time he can technically back it up. But here's the whole problem with that. When you got two major egos clashing, you ready to go down? Okay. You got two major egos clashing, there's going to be a problem. So, of course, someone else is playing Vegeta. And he's been playing Vegeta a while. Apparently, he's been watching me play Rock, and he liked the way I was role-playing Rock because Rock reacted accordingly. I'll give you a quick example. When I said I got weird friend requests, weird requests for The Rock, I mean I got weird requests. Charles Lee Ray as Chucky. The doll, got one from him, got one from Freddy, got one from Jason Voorhees, I got one from Pinhead, I got a request from Sailor Moon, Goku, Vegeta, Gambit, Cyclops, Wolverine. I mean, there was people left and right that wanted to be friends with The Rock, the great one. And the whole problem people had was some people would roleplay the characters and not even think about what The Rock would do. And like I said, the problem with this became very evident because people would be talking shit, and then when Rock would respond and talk shit back, they were shocked. It was like, what the hell? Did we get the writer for The Rock here? Did Dwayne Johnson actually give him paper to help get through this? I mean, I don't know. And I personally found it amusing because I literally would watch like promos and interviews against different people and would try to match the characters close to it. So like when Chucky came up, it was a doll. And that's what The Rock sees, a doll. He doesn't see evil slaughter. He just sees the doll. So he pretty much got into his dressing room and Chucky said that there was a good guy doll just sitting in a chair. Just sitting there. There's no scars on it or anything. It's just a normal good guy doll. It looks like a normal good guy doll. Except it was Chucky, but it looked like a normal good guy doll. So it's before the whole Chucky gets put through the finger and put my face back together. So Rock, in his reaction, was like, who is the jabroni who came into the Rock's dressing room? This dressing room belongs to the... And I had The Rock point to a door. He's like, it says The Rock. You do not go into The Rock's dressing room. Unless The Rock tells you, you can go your happy ass in there. You don't go in there. So Rock grabbed the doll. And he kind of looked it over. No weapons immediately seen. And even the guy playing Charles was like, there's no weapons on Chucky's just there. So it's just a doll. So Rock's, of course, looking at him and like... So he leaves the room. And I'm having Rock look for people. I mean, literally looking for people. And he runs across one guy, and I literally had to NPC him because there would be no one logically in the wrestling area that was on the friends list at the time. Logically speaking, of course. So he runs over to a camera guy, just happens to see him. He's like, hey, come here. So the camera guy would walk over, and Rock's like, what's your name? Everyone who knows Rock knows what's coming when that line comes up. The guy's like, well, my name is... It doesn't matter what your name is. Did you or any of your jabroni little friends take your candy asses and drop this off? What is this? What is this? Well, it looks like it doesn't matter what this is. What it is in the Rock's dressing room, and it's not supposed to be there. And I go on a whole tirade with this. Okay, I just go nuts. As a Rock, I just go nuts. And of course, the guy playing Chucky was put out a character and he was laughing, having a good time. He's like, I didn't have to do nothing, and you are very entertaining as Rock. And I was like, thank you. So it takes so long for me to do responses, but I have to make sure it's according to character, yada yada yada, make sure everything fit, make sure the flow is appropriate. He's like, yeah, I got you. Well, apparently this has got the attention of Vegeta. I don't know why Vegeta would be in a wrestling ring, but what the fuck ever. So Rock leaves, and he gets confronted by Vegeta. And Vegeta like, do you know who I am? Rock, of course, in his infinite wisdom, is like, did you just set the Rock up to make that easy joke? Like, really, did you know what I'm supposed to say here? This is too easy. Come on now. Vegeta goes, I am Vegeta, principal, and he goes through his whole speech. Just a speech. In Rock's response, I literally had to tell the guy, please edit to stop after Vegeta. Because the response from Rock is the following. By default. By default. And I told him it's by default because it's not. Rock ain't going to care. So I let the Vegeta player know, hey, you might want to just go ahead and edit that. I mean, I do appreciate that big speech. That is awesome. You please save it off to a file somewhere, because that is awesome. That I cannot even argue with that. That is a great speech. That fits Vegeta down to a T. Please, for the love of God, save that. But you're going to have to edit it when you're done, because The Rock is going to do what The Rock does. And let me go ahead and do this. Let me just go ahead and knock it out. So I added a little prefix to it. As Vegeta starts saying his name, he gets to about the J hyphen. It doesn't matter what your name is, you 5'1" jabroni. Look at your hair. You look like a troll doll. What are you? And I just go into it. I'm just having a heyday. And the guy playing Vegeta he was up laughing. He's like, dude, holy shit. He's like, I'll have to reply tomorrow because I can't even, I'm busy laughing over here. So we leave it off at that. Next day, he comes back. He's settled himself. He's like, I'm sorry I had to go get back in Vegeta mind frame to answer this because that was hilarious. So Vegeta's going off on his own rant. And we're going back and forth. People started jumping in onto the thread. They were laughing like, this is the greatest thread I've ever read. Because this is literally two egotistical people, point blank, yelling at each other with how they act. This is just all the way down. Inevitably, it got to a point where the guy's like, okay, I'm sorry, but Vegeta is going to attack. It's going to happen. I'm sorry. It's Vegeta. I was like, yeah, I understand that. It's inevitable. I got it. It's okay. I got you. No harm, no foul. And we do this out of character so people know, okay, I'm not going to get mad or I'm not going to, oh my god. So Vegeta's like, he just snaps and is like, had enough. Backs up, puts his hands out and throws, like, it's not the Gallic gun, but he throws a smaller, how can I say this? It's not the Final Flash, even though that's the motion for Final Flash. He say he brings his hands back, just sweeps them to make one beam that just fires out. Not the big Final Flash beam, because you have to charge that shit. He just throws a beam, pretty much. Now, I point out that Rock turned and started walking away because Vegeta backed away. He saw that Vegeta dashed off, so it's like, okay, well, I obviously want to fight, whatever. So Rock started walking. Now, because he said he fired a beam, I asked him, what level of a beam is it? And the guy's like, well, it's a medium-sized beam. It's enough. It's not a small beam. It's not a quick shot. It's a good-sized beam. So I was like, okay, good-sized beam. It would change the sky color and all that like it would in anime, right? The guy's like, yeah, the sky will start taking color closer to the energy as it's approaching the target. I'm like, that's all I needed. Thank you. So as a response, in character, I had Rock continue walking until he noticed the sky started hueing purple. Because that's the color Vegeta was using, purple. The sky went from a nice sky blue to where he noticed that it was starting to turn more and more purple. Out of gut instinct and reaction, because the sky started to change color, Rock immediately tumbles to the side so he can face Vegeta. So he kind of did a combat roll and twisted so he could face Vegeta. So he was already down on a low position. He was kind of like low. And by doing that, people are like, that makes sense for a wrestler. He's not going to fly out the way. He's not going to bat the beam at the last second. He's not going to put his hands out and stop it. He's going to avoid it. He doesn't know what it is. He's going to avoid. And it was actually in wrestling character. He would move out the way. He's like, I don't know what the hell that is. I'm moving. He's like, the only question we had is, how would The Rock know? Well, again, I explained it in the action. The sky was starting to turn darker and darker purple for some reason, as well as everything else around him. So the first thing he was going to do, since he can't identify why the area is changing, is move out of that immediate area. He is moving immediately out of that area so he can figure out if it's just that spot, if it's just a path, if it's the whole freaking area. But he's going to turn back to Vegeta because he's pretty sure Vegeta is the cause. And everyone's like, that makes sense in character. It makes combat sense, and it makes sense in character. You're moving out of a strange zone. Something looks weird, you're getting out of the way immediately. You're not going to saunter out the way because you don't know if it's dangerous or not. You're just rolling that to the side. It could have been like someone giving you a cell phone and you just roll to dodge it. It's like a bit much, but whatever. You're happy to err on the side of safety. And the guy playing Vegeta was like, that does make sense. That does make sense. It adds up. I mean, even if you watch Rock in matches, there's some times where he just kind of moves for some reason. It adds up with the character. So yeah, it adds up. So the beam passed, and Vegeta went ahead and described what happened after the beam passed, like hit a mountain blew up and all that. And of course, Rock kind of glances back to Vegeta, like, what in the blue hell was that? And then I started a whole new argument. And people were like, oh my god, keep this thread going. Somebody put this on like Twitter or something. This is just hilarious. I don't think they did, but it was just, we just kept going. It was a fun time for both of us. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, yes, Vegeta attacked The Rock. But I did the reaction according to character. I did the reaction appropriately, as Vegeta reacted according to his character. And people, when you're role-playing anything canon, there, I said, when you're role-playing anything canon, it's wise to do some research. And that'll be another video that I'll record in a moment. But do a little bit of research and get the ideas of the character. Nothing worse than say, I am Sailor Moon, and then someone goes to talk to Sailor Moon and she fucking rock bottoms them. Just boom! Like, she would never do that. Ever. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Even if she knew the move, ever, 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 never, ever. But that's my point. And like I said, I'm going to go over that when I go over canon characters. Again. But I had to redo the canon character. Anything? Yeah, get it. The point of that story was, out of character, we have no beef with each other. The guy that was playing Vegeta and myself, we have no beef with each other. We know it's the character situation. If Vegeta would have killed The Rock, like if I didn't have Rock move or whatever and it killed him, so be it. It just would have been the punctuation point of Rock's mouth getting him in trouble. Not like that's ever happened before in WWE, whatever. I mean, hell, he's the one that was calling out the Undertaker about his 33-pound head and his Mickey Mouse tattoos, and then he got beat up. It kind of happens. But I'll go over that with the canon character soon enough. So, I want y'all to have a good night. Have fun with that little story. And for role players, this is a definite big thing. Just good night, everybody.